actually a story that I picked up on my travels over the summer. Those of you who know my work or follow my ramblings on social media will know that we had a really strange summer, speaking of liminal places. We lost the house we were staying in and had nowhere to go for several months. Took my very tolerant, long-suffering partner and my beautiful daughters, and we stayed here and there. We house sat in a house that was very rarely lived in one of the most liminal places I've ever been. One Head, the highest village in Scotland. You wake up in the morning inside a rain cloud with sheep bowing outside your front door. And while I was there, my mum stays thereabouts, and I picked up a story from an old woman who assured me it was true and that she'd heard it just shortly after it happened. It happens not in One Head, but not so far away in Glenluss. And it was said that there'd been quite a lot of shifting of buildings and moving of places at the time. The church had been taken to pieces, and in order to preserve the bell, the villagers had taken it upon themselves to ferry it across the bay. They'd put it onto a rowing boat and made their way to the new site. The storm had risen up, and the boat had been sunk, bell and all. The inn was still busy enough, as inns often are in Scotland, but again the storm that had kind of wreaked its toll, it had taken its toll across the villages at the time, had made the thatch need repairing. There weren't any dead cats. But where the lintel had once been set, solid and straight, had now gone a wee bit shiggly where the roof had been lifted up. And so the new owner took it upon himself to do some repairs. He took out the wee pegs that he found in the lintel, and although some of the old folks muttered that the Rowan should be there, his round sticks have their place, and they need looking after. The new owner shooed the worries aside and said he knew what he was doing. He fixed the lintel up good and proper and set about serving drink once more. He was pleased to see there were a few extra customers, a few new faces in the pub now. A bit more money going into his coffers, not a bad thing, he thought. So Lammas time came round, August. And the harvestmen were finished bringing the crops in, and it was thirsty work, and they set about drinking in the pub. And the more they drank, the wilder the night got, both inside and out. And now the storm was lifting the new thatch, it felt, making it swell on the old building. The gale was howling outside, and the conversation turned to the ghost story, the dares and the do's and the don'ts, and a bevy of hard men that feared nothing started to share the things they would never do on a night such as this. One by one, they all professed to be able to take on anything. A drink inside them. Oh, aye, they'd swim across the bay, even on a wild night like this. Oh, they could walk up a mountain and fetch you back a snowball in May. But the one thing none of them would do was walk down to the maiden kirk, past the haunted hawthorn, the fairy thorn that the new church had been built beside, a tree said to harbour a grudge or two, creaking and swaying in the wild, stormy night. Not a man amongst them, however old, however wise, would dare walk past that tree on a night like this. But the more they drank, the more they laughed, until one young man, full of drink, was caught in the glint of a golden eye. A stranger sat by the fireplace, not even worried or bothered by the smoke that swirled in the hearth. The stranger caught the young man's glance and he said to him, "I'll give you a golden guinea if you can go down to the maiden kirk, past the haunted hawthorn and back. But I'll need proof. I want you to bring me back the Bible." Well, young McCulloch was foolhardy and full of drink, and he shook the stranger's hand, and he said he'd have the golden guinea off him, and he had another swally, and off he went, out into the night. Storm like this had never shaken Kirk Maiden before. The like had not been seen since the bell had been sunk in the bay. Out McCulloch went, and the old men in the pub grew silent. Sobriety started to drift amongst them as they felt the ice of winter begin to touch their blood. Eyes started to watch the door. They started to fall silent and shake. No more glasses were lifted to mouths. Finally, the golden-eyed stranger sitting in the fireplace said, "Will no man amongst you go out to find the young man?" No one spoke. "Will no man amongst you go out to find that young man?" "No man amongst you go out to find the young man?" 3 times he asked the question. 3 times! Every single man in that inn shook his head. The fire was stoked up, and the smoke swirled up the chimney. One green stick atop the loft, a juniper branch, not quite dried out, and the inn started to fill with smoke, eyes watering. When it passed and dispersed, the golden-eyed man by the fire had gone. Every single man in the room felt a chill, icy hand seize his heart, and they sat in silence watching the door, hoping for McCulloch's return. But as the cock crowed and the dawn lifted, the sun started to make its watery way back up into the world. It ventured forth, down to the maiden kirk, where they found, by the gate, the Bible placed on the floor, where McCulloch had put it down to try and wrench open the stuck gate. And in that moment that he placed the Bible on the floor, the haunted hawthorn had lifted him up, and there was his body in tatters above them, his heart captured by a branch hand of thorns, his shirt in shreds like a winding cloth. No man spoke of it ever again, but from that day to this, whenever a McCulloch's death was near, the Wraith Bell, as it's now known, that lies at the bottom of the bay can be heard tolling above the sound of the waves. And no one has ever walked past that hawthorn on a stormy night again. Without a word, the very next day, the innkeeper listened to the whispers of the old men in the village, and he took the slithers of hawthorn he'd found in the lintel, and secretly, when no one was watching, he took them and tapped them back into place. As far as I know, they're still there, and no more strangers have been drinking in the pub. But if you ever see a wee bit of branch sticking out of a lintel, my advice to you is to leave it well alone. Because you don't know who'll come wandering into your house if you take it out. And that's